blizzard had claimed them all. Varcon stood at the edge of the frozen valley, his massive obsidian scales crusted with ice, his breath rising in plumes of smoke and steam. Behind him, the pack huddled in grief. 12 dragons, each one a mountain of sorrow. Their keening cries echoed through the white wasteland, a sound that would freeze the blood of any creature foolish enough to wander these lands. But the hatchlings were gone. 7 of them, barely 3 months old. Their shells still soft, their wings too weak to carry them through the storm. The avalanche had been sudden, merciless. One moment, the nursery cave had been warm and safe. The next, it was buried under 10,000 tons of snow and ice. Varcon had clawed at the frozen mass until his talons bled. The others had breathed fire until their throats burned raw. But the mountain did not yield. The silence that followed was worse than any battle roar. "They are lost," Mirth, his mate, whispered, her silver scales dulled to gray. "We must accept this." Varcon said nothing. Dragons did not weep openly, but his chest felt hollow, as if something vital had been torn away. That was when he saw her. A figure small and fragile trudging through the snow. A human alone. Insane. Surely to be out here in the aftermath of such a storm. Varcon's lips curled back from his fangs. Humans were scavengers, opportunists. Perhaps she had come to loot what remained of their territory. "Shall I burn her?" Corp, the pack's youngest warrior, growled. "Wait," Varcon rumbled. There was something odd about the way she moved, not with the quick, nervous energy of prey, but with purpose. Her coat, bulky and oversized, seemed to shift with movement that wasn't entirely her own. So she stopped 30 paces from the pack. She should have been terrified. 12 dragons, each capable of incinerating her where she stood. But she simply stood there, breathing hard, her face red from cold and exertion. "I heard you," she said, her voice barely carrying over the wind. "I heard your mourning." Varcon stepped forward, lowering his enormous head to her level. "You heard nothing that concerns you, human. Leave before I forget the ancient accords." "The accords say nothing about this," Solene replied. She carefully unbuttoned her coat. The pack tensed. Varcon's throat began to glow with building heat. Then she opened the coat fully. 7 pairs of tiny, scaled eyes blinked up at the dragons. 7 small bodies wriggled and chirped, nestled against Solene's torso in a makeshift sling made from her shirt. The hatchlings were dirty, frightened, but alive. The sound that came from Mirth was something between a roar and a sob. "How?" Varcon breathed, his rage forgotten. Solene's legs buckled, and she fell to her knees in the snow. "I was checking the mountain passes, survey work. When the avalanche hit, I saw your nursery cave collapse." She was shaking now, from cold, exhaustion, or both. "I have equipment, ground-penetrating radar. I could see the air pocket, see them moving." "That does not explain how you retrieved them," Varcon said, though his tone had lost its edge. "I dug," she said, holding up her hands, raw and bloody, wrapped in torn fabric. "I dug for 18 hours. The pocket was small. You're too big to reach it. But I'm not." Varcon stared at this impossible creature. Humans were weak, fragile, short-lived. They had no fire, no flight, no scales to protect them. And yet, this one had done what 12 dragons could not. "Why?" Mirth asked, moving closer. "Why would you risk yourself for our young?" Solene looked up at her, and Varcon saw tears frozen on her cheeks. "Because I heard you crying," she said simply. "And because I know what it's like to lose everything." She carefully lifted the hatchlings one by one, placing them in the snow. They immediately began chirping for their parents, tiny wings flapping uselessly. Mirth swept them up with her tail, bringing them close, checking each one frantically. Varcon looked at Solene, really looked at her. She was hypothermic, exhausted, injured. She had expended everything she had to save children that were not her own. "You will die if you stay out here," he said. "I know." Her voice was distant. "I couldn't carry them all, and my beacon, I left it with my gear. No one knows where I am." "Then she is a fool," Korth snorted flame. "No," Varcon said quietly. He lowered himself to the ground beside her. "She is what humans call a hero." He extended one massive wing, creating a shelter from the wind. Mirth added her own, forming a warm cave around the human. The other dragons moved closer, adding their body heat. "You saved our future," Varcon said. "We do not forget such debts." Solene smiled weakly. Just get me somewhere warm, and maybe some hot chocolate. I really, really want hot chocolate. Despite everything, Varcon found himself making a sound he hadn't made in years. A low, rumbling chuckle. Humans, he said. You are the strangest creatures in all the galaxy. Weak, yes. Fragile, certainly. But you have something we do not. What's that? Solene mumbled, already drifting towards sleep in the warmth. You have a strength that has nothing to do with fire or fong, he replied. You call it compassion, and it makes you the most dangerous species of all. The pack surrounded Solene Ward, keeping her alive with their warmth. As the sun set over the frozen valley, and in the center of their protective circle, 7 hatchlings chirped and played, oblivious to how close they had come to death. Varcon watched over them all. His grief transformed into something else. Gratitude, respect, and perhaps for the first time in his long life, genuine friendship for a human. Tomorrow they would carry her to safety. They would see her healed. And the dragons would remember that humanity, for all its weakness, possessed a kind of courage that even they could not match. A courage that digs through ice and stone with bare hands, that risks everything for the cries of the lost. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.